Tomorrow's news tonight now in our media buzz. The first front pages are in. One story dominates the newspaper, claiming Nadeem Zahawi faces the sack after Rishi Sunak ordered an investigation into whether the former Chancellor broke the ministerial code over his failure to pay millions in taxes. But the Daily Star pokes fun at the situation by reviving its Liz Truss lettuce joke. Isn't this one just a little bit old now, lads? Declaring, you don't need a Daily Star lettuce to see how this one ends. But you know what? I'm not covering this story tonight because I actually think this constant drumbeat and obsession with kicking politicians out of their jobs without any evidence that they've done anything even slightly illegal is completely wrong, and why the deranged media in this country has its priorities all wrong almost all of the time. Not my superstar panel, though, who are back with me. Top Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, political editor at the Sunday Mirror, Nigel Nelson, and the columnist and media personality Carol McGiffin. Now, the radicalised Muslim Jack Letts, more commonly known as Jihadi Jack, is said to be repatriated by Canadian authorities. The lowlife, who held dual UK and Canadian citizenship, proclaimed himself the enemy of Britain after fleeing his Oxfordshire home in 2014 to fight for the Islamic terrorist group ISIS. He was later captured by Kurdish authorities in 2017 and begged to be allowed to return here. Surprise, surprise. However, quite rightly, the Home Office tore up his passport 2 years later. Despite Canada's reported fury at being left fully responsible for the terrorist, Jihadi Jack is now one of 23 people that they've allowed to return from Syria. Meanwhile, the unrepentant Shamima Begum is keeping up her bogus charm offensive, which was disturbingly endorsed by the BBC podcast series I Am Not a Monster. So is the West increasingly looking like a soft touch when it comes to its treatment of ISIS runaways, Carol McGiffin?
Yeah. I mean, Canada, what a hellhole that must be. Let's
well, Trudeau's destroying the country, isn't he?
Trudeau is, yeah, exactly. Jacinda's gone now. Now, just Trudeau, but they'll probably vote him in again. Look, I'm just glad they're not coming back here. I say good luck to them. Good luck to Canada and good luck to them. Although it is odd that all the attention is focused on these two, and then you think to yourself, well, you know, thousands of people are coming in on boats that suddenly disappear. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they're doing. And some are almost certainly former members or current members of... Quite possibly, exactly. So and they're not checked, and we don't know where they are. So, you know, it is important, actually. It's important that they don't come back to the UK, in my opinion. But I do think it's another giant distraction against things that are, you know, other things that are happening that are really worrying, that need to be stopped.
But Nigel, you're one of these woke lefties who says, oh no, Shamima has to come back. Why?
Because she was...
And what about Jihadi Jack? Do you want to take him back too?
No, because we took his passport away and the Canadians are lumbered with him. Canadians are doing exactly the right thing to actually take him, as are the US,
Well, Shamima
France,
has
Germany,
Bangladeshi
Finland.
citizenship, so she can try and go there where she would face the death penalty.
Well, she hasn't got Bangladeshi citizenship. That's the problem. They won't allow her in.
She has a right to it.
So she hasn't got a right to it. Not according to the Bangladeshis, so she's stateless. Point about Shamima Begum, regardless of whether she is contrite, remorseful or whatever, she was born and bred in this country, she was radicalised in this country, she is our responsibility.
Who was she radicalised by?
And also it is safer,
Who was she radicalised by?
She was radicalised online in this country.
She went online herself. She was perfectly aware of what was going on in Syria. She saw, like we saw, the beheadings. She saw men being burned alive. She saw all of that, and she still chose to go off to that country. And she joined a death cult that wanted to destroy the West, and she still will not speak against that death cult.
No,
even now.
And I'm not disputing any of that.
Yeah, but you want her back.
She's not even fazed by it.
It is safer to have these people back.
No, it is not.
It's not. Why?
It's safe to have her back.
The reason it's safer is because if you leave them in an internment camp in
Leave her in Syria. It's fine.
They will become even more radicalised and even more dangerous.
Can I just say...
What it does is it sets the ultimate example to any other young person in Britain right now thinking that we're a soft touch and they can go off and try joining some sort of radicalised group overseas, that actually there's no way back, and there should be no way back. And I think Trudeau is.
Can I just say that Sajid Javid, do you remember a couple of years ago when he revoked her citizenship? He said, if you knew what I knew, you would make the decision I've just made. And what had happened was, the belief is that he saw some intelligence from the CIA where he saw what she'd been doing. Now, we know some of what she was doing there. She was a member of the morality police. She used to strut around with a Kalashnikov over her shoulder. She sewed young, terrified kids into suicide vests. The woman is a terrorist, and we don't want known terrorists back here.
If she's so dangerous, then isn't it better she's back in this country? She's arrested the moment she arrived.
Nigel, there is no way to bring a case against her.
Because we can't collect the evidence.
The terror services have made it really clear we can't gather the evidence from over there. So what will happen? She will come here, no evidence. We will put her in a council house. She will live there all of her life, where she'll be kept by taxpayers. And if she has been radicalised in Syria, if she has been, she will start messing about here. Terror plots. People will use her.
Isn't it more dangerous to let her stay there?
We know. She can stay. What danger is she to us in Syria?
We don't know where she'll go after that.
Who cares where she goes?
Well, you obviously care if she comes here.
I do care if she comes here. As long as she doesn't come here, she can go anywhere.
Have her under surveillance.
Why should we?
Well, do you know what? Believe me, if I was in Canada, knowing that Jihadi Jack was walking around, because this is not a bloke I trust. This is not a bloke I trust.
And nor
when
should
you know what he
that's
did.
right.
Do you remember what he said? He said he thought it was a praiseworthy thing to kill British soldiers, and he would love the idea of shooting bullets in their head.
People. What I'm saying is the countries responsible for them should take their responsibility.
Why should we bring her here and have our services?
Because we're responsible for
our
her.
terrorists. We're not. She doesn't have a British passport anymore. Why should we have our terror services?
And it was the Supreme Court judge who made that decision.
Yes, it was.
Watching her, and
this has gone through the legal process because it was the lefty judge.
We haven't even addressed why the BBC are doing this Woman podcast and being an apologist.
Well, that's just gross. That's just
international public
gross.
interest.
Oh, rubbish.
Oh, it is not.
Nigel,
well, how is it?
The name of the series is I Am Not a Monster. Can you not see that the BBC is coming at this from a revolting editorial position defending a terrorist?
But if you listen to that podcast, it's very even-handed about, and she actually admits
There's
that
nothing even-handed about Begum.
Do you know what she admits? To her, a tragedy was the fact she couldn't get mint aero in Syria. She didn't talk about being sorry for the deaths and for the murders and for the women who were raped and buried alive. She didn't say any of that.
But that's the point.
She couldn't get mint aero.
But I wouldn't believe her if she did say it.
No, I wouldn't either.
I don't believe anything she says.
I don't know.
And the only journalists who do believe her are the BBC ones. Everyone else who's interviewed her.
But they're trying to revive her reputation.
Of course they are. Yes. Of course they are. And if there's any reason why I call the BBC the British bashing corporation, it is the fact that they have now produced a podcast about Shamima Begum called I Am Not a Monster.
Yeah.
She is a monster.
Yes.